Hi, so I am a long-time viewer of Leah and have watched basically every video that she ever put out on anti-MLM, and I've also watched a load of Leah's videos and have been watching most videos that I've seen pop up about the situation that has been going on, and I want to share some of my views on it as a viewer because her second anti-MLM video of recent weeks has just come out half an hour ago, and I'm confused. I'm really confused because, first of all, for the first video, she'd said that she wants to be open and honest and da 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 da, and in the title she'd put "Let's chat." But the comments were turned off. And now I was gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and see what she came up with next, but I've just watched the next video, and labelling it as a tell-all seems a bit ridiculous when she was speaking in very vague terms, talking vaguely about receipts that yes, she did have and that some people have done X, Y, or Z, but she's not said who those people are or what it even is that they're supposed to have done. If you're going to talk about receipts and so on and things that are necessary, it's necessary to have the receipts there in order to talk about them properly, just mention that when you can share the receipts. Why would you make a 25-minute trailer for what is going to come on the rest of your channel? Was that not the function of your previous video? So it was, to me, it seemed like 25 minutes of confusing waffle. And I'm also confused when she's talking about, oh, well, these creators have been making content about me. Okay, so yeah, you've been mentioned, but it's usually not about you. Most of the videos I've seen, and I've seen the majority that I believe are out there, even from very small creators or creators that I didn't watch beforehand, and most of them were primarily talking about the Leah situation. There was the video put out by Savannah Marie very early on in all of this, which was clearly about Leah, but that kind of all was put to an end when Madison Harnish came out with her video sort of talking about who was really behind this. And I think her motivation for that, or what it came across in that video, her motivation for that was the fact that Leah was getting a lot of flack that really should be directed at Leah, and that Leah hadn't really done very much in terms of the damage that she'd done to the community and the creator community specifically. So a lot of what I've seen has been letting Emily off the hook and much more focused on Leah. So I don't know who she thinks is primarily blaming or targeting her. Actually, what I've seen has been the opposite, and people being a lot more sympathetic towards Emily. So that's confusing. And there's also the fact that after Savannah Marie's video, I personally thought, oh my god, well, this is Leah gone. And I did feel like she would be behind all of these confusing videos that were coming out, and I felt like I'd worked out what was going on, and personally I felt very led to believe that it was Leah and Leah alone who was at fault here. But it was when Madison Harnish's video came out, and when the other videos came out that was stating much more explicitly what was going on, that suddenly everything dropped into place and everything made sense when we were talking a lot more clearly and lucidly about what had actually been going on. So it was then that I in my head, I went completely back to where I'd started with Emily Leah. No, she didn't want to make content anymore. I felt like, okay, fair enough. It was all very confusing. I feel like we were sort of gaslighted by Leah, and everybody was sort of confused about what was going on there. And the rule that I try to live by is that if what somebody is saying is confusing you, then it's probably not the truth, and they're probably not being completely honest, and there may be some manipulation going on. And everything made sense from what Madison said. And watching this video of Emily Leah, none of it made sense. I'm confused now. And I don't think that's necessarily because Emily's been manipulated, or I think rather that I think it's more likely that Emily's manipulated, or that she's confused by all of the different conflicting things that she's seen or heard said about herself or Camilla or whatever, because I've no idea what it is that she's referring to here. So I don't think it's that she's being manipulative necessarily, and I will sort of pass judgment on that when things become a bit clearer, if things become a bit clearer. Or, it's possible that they won't at all become a bit clearer or any clearer at all, and she will just continue with these sort of clickbait titles where she just rambles on for about half an hour and doesn't actually say anything of substance. So there's that. And then coming to manipulation, she says that people in the anti-MLM community have been throwing around the word manipulation, saying that she's been manipulated or somebody else is being manipulative or whatever. But I would say that that's valid. There has been a lot of manipulation going on because there have been lies, and I think that lies in themselves are manipulative, and I think people have been led to believe certain things that have not been true. And for me, that's manipulation, so I'm not really sure what she's getting at there, throwing around the word manipulation. Well, yes, because that's the problem. That's exactly the issue at hand, is that we're talking about manipulation. So, why is she accusing everybody else of throwing around the word manipulation when she's throwing around the word cancellation, and I'm really not sure what she means by that. What does she think being cancelled is? Receiving hateful messages, although it's unacceptable, that's not cancellation. People who are very popular and who have hundreds of thousands or millions of viewers get hate comments and hate messages. But that doesn't mean that they're being cancelled. In fact, I did unsubscribe to Leah because I didn't want to be part of that number on her subscriber count anymore, because of the things that she'd done and the way that she'd spoken to her subscribers and spoken about the situation and spoken about Emily Leah. But I never unsubscribed from Emily Leah because other creators had ultimately come to her defence and spelt out how the situation actually was. So far from people telling their viewers to not view Emily Leah or to unsubscribe from her, it was actually other creators that kept me subscribed to her. So yeah, I don't know what she means by cancellation. What does she think? What does she think that means? I'm genuinely curious, because I don't think she's using that word in the way that I would understand it. And yes, I do think that she has been cyberbullied and treated unfairly. And no, I don't agree with that, and I'll be perfectly happy to hear her talk about that. But that's not being cancelled in my book. And if some people have decided to unsubscribe from her, well, is that cancellation, or is that just people not wanting to watch things? She said herself in this video, I believe, she said that you don't have to watch if you don't want to. Leah said You don't have to watch if you don't want to. That she doesn't want to be the reason that your blood pressure is high. Okay? So you're fine with people not watching you then? Then why do you think that them not watching you is being cancelled? I mean, clearly there's something that I've not understood here that I would love to have explained to me. Yeah, no, what is cancellation? Cancel, 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 cancel. The word starts to lose all meaning when you just say it over and over and over and over again and don't actually put any meaning behind it. I think it's just kind of, it's a bit melodramatic. I've been cancelled. You were the one that said that you weren't wanting to make MLM content anymore. And that's why people watched you. So no, they're going to stop watching you. And if they do seriously disagree with something that you've done, decide that they want to unsubscribe and not have anything to do with you, well, what's the difference between that and boycotting? If you think that somebody is behaving in a way that is unethical or unacceptable, then you've every right to not consume anything from them. So that's boycotting. So is that what you mean by cancellation? I'm very confused. And, you know, in my head, all of this started long before Kimberley decided that she was going to do that fateful live stream with my truth and I'm not anti-MLM anymore. Because of the way that content creators would talk about each other in such vague terms. And I remember Emily would do this and she would say, oh, we don't do aggression, we don't get angry, we respect whatever. And I wasn't really sure. I remember commenting at some point saying, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Could somebody be specific about what kind of anti-MLM content that you take issue with? Because to me it doesn't make sense. If you're saying, oh, these other people do things the way that I don't do it, so I do it like this. Like, well, who are these other people? What are they doing that you're not doing? And because I think that would be interesting. I liked it when Savvy Writes Books did a long video reacting to a Beachbody call, but it was a Beachbody call that Kiki Chanel had reacted to, and she was reacting to the reaction video. And in that, you know, she talked about what she thought that Kiki had done well and what she'd not done well and what she agreed with and what she didn't. And it was respectful and nice and it was interesting. And I'm still subscribed to both of them because I think that it's interesting when people have different opinions. And, you know, that's good. And I would like to see more of that. And I would like to see more discussion about how to approach the issue. But I didn't get that from Emily or anybody else because they were being vague. And I have really enjoyed the last few months where things have been a lot more out in the open and things have been a lot more transparent and made a lot more sense when content creators are talking about life behind the scenes or how they think they should approach content and what they think they can do to create anti-MLM content in a way that is ethical and respectful and helpful for the movement. So there was something else I wanted to say, but I now can't remember what it was. Yeah, so basically I just wanted to get my view as a viewer, an actual viewer. I wanted to get that out and just add my voice to that conversation because the conversation's not there, because the comments are turned off. And what other content creators have been saying is true, that if you turn the comments off on your video, well, then people are going to go elsewhere. I probably wouldn't be making this video if I'd been able to comment what I thought and what I think is I'm confused. I don't know what you mean. And I would be much happier if we actually started calling a spade a spade. And that's my 2 cents on that. So, see you later.